So, welcome back to Global Citizenship. Again, same as always, we're following the exact same class outline and the details. We are almost at the very end of the semester, so make sure all of your group has presented all of its parts to get all of the marks. If you were late, for example, providing introduction, please present it before the end, because you can still get marks although you're late. The participation, usually it's 1 point per class, but if you do have a good presentation that's informing the world about global citizenship, if it's valuable, you might be able to get up to 10 marks for that. Some of you have talked to us about how can you actually get marks, and it has been explained. Tom, do you have that sheet? Can you find that sheet about the number of marks we can share? We can talk about that later in the middle of the class, but for today, we are talking about this idea of education for global citizens. There's the textbook we're wrapping up, and the idea of what are many aspects of going global, traveling internationally, and having language problems. And so a few of you are going to be making presentations, but in addition to that, I wanted to just point out again, the class Facebook page has some examples, and inside our main presentation for today, there's a couple of other interesting examples. You guys can see this. I'm just going to start with one, just to show some of you have presentations, but the rest of you, if you're still quiet, I'm trying to make you comfortable to share things yourselves. And so this is one example of how communications will have problems if you don't talk up a lot and try to clarify details. Have any of you seen this video yet? If any of you have seen it and can comment on it or summarize it, you get points for that. If you stay quiet, I can't give you points. So the idea is, this guy is supposed to be a famous guy coming in just for a job interview, and he's not from the United States, and he's talking to a person in the United States about a job that somebody told him that he should have. He's like a famous person, but she is just a secretary. She has no idea who this is. And so let's take a look at simple examples of cultural problems with global citizenship. If you don't talk a lot, if you don't clarify details a lot, in your mind, some things are good, some things are bad. So we will watch this video the first time, and I'm going to stop it, and I'm just going to ask you to comment. Who is right and who is wrong? Is there any right or wrong? Ready? I'm going to ask you that question soon. Here we go.
He is the interesting man to you.
Come on in, sir. I'll be with you in just 1 second.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. There's no smoking here in the job center.
Okay. What is name?
I'm Monica.
You're gay.
Me? No, I'm a pretty straight-up girl. Well, I mean, college was a different story. I was young and, you know.
What?
Well, now I'm strictly dickly.
What you talk about? You're gay.
Oh, you're gay. That's so great. I bet it must be so much easier for you here in the U.S.
No, I'm not gay. You're gay.
No, as I said earlier, I don't swing that way anymore.
What is my name?
I don't know, sir. You haven't told me your name yet.
I told you, you're gay.
Okay, I get it. You're an out and proud homosexual.
No, I am not homosex man. I am strong, sexy man like bull.
Okay, there's no need to prove yourself. I have lots of gay friends.
Not gay.
Sir, I know you're new to this country, but normally people don't lead the conversation with their sexuality.
You don't believe you're gay.
You know, I don't know what kind of fantasy you have here about a gay man and a gay woman, but I'm not your girl.
Lesbo.
You know, it's guys like you that make me want to switch teams.
Okay, so it's a simple, maybe it's a bad example, but it's communication together. You're about to present, so while you come up and get ready to present your information, can somebody just simply summarize what was happening here with global citizenship? Trying to give marks away to anybody that's able to comment in class. Yes? Such as, my name is Sean. What's your name again? Hidden, okay. Right, the woman is trying to get his name. I am giving you a hard time, just like the video. Can you explain more? What is the issue? He doesn't understand her problem. She doesn't understand his problem. So what is your issue? Maybe I can explain it a little bit more. I'm from Canada, and in Canada, maybe it's one of the most PC countries in the world. PC for dying. Does anybody understand what PC is, or more specifically, what is PC for dying? Anybody?
No, I have no idea.
Being politically correct. You're supposed to be correct, understanding other people's politics and culture. Dying is actually more important than being PC. And I'm not talking about shooting yourself and actually going under the ground dying. I'm talking about DIE. Anybody understand how PC and DIE relate? It also relates to BLM, Black Lives Matter. That's a huge hint. If you go outside of Korea, especially in Europe or in North America, you have to respect dying. What does that relate to Black Lives Matter? Yes, at the back. What is Black Lives Matter?
It's a racism problem.
Really? We have, I don't know, 15 students here, and the students don't know what Black Lives Matter is. I find that pretty surprising. I'm talking about diversity. You have to respect diversity. You have to respect things are done different ways. And you have to respect inclusiveness. You have to accept and include people from every group. You're not allowed to say some groups are not allowed. And E, anybody want to guess what E stands for? BLM is for Black Lives Matter. PC is for being politically correct. And DIE, the D is for diversity. I is for inclusiveness. Any guess for what is the E? What do you have to think about if you're working internationally? Wow, I can't hear you. Encourage? You need to be able to encourage people. Yes, it's actually related to equity. Make sure you have people from the Black group, people from the minority group, people from the women's group, people from the handicraft group. They all must be representing a group if you have an official group, especially if it's a government group or a work group. If you are not representing equity or people from those other groups, that legally is becoming a problem. And so almost all big companies and organizations, even schools and universities, they're giving millions of dollars away to fix this dying problem. Diversity, inclusiveness, and equity problem. Same thing with gender inequality is related to that. So this is just one aspect of misunderstanding. And the whole idea of talking about being gay, you're not usually supposed to be talking about it. But she started respectfully, right? He said a comment that she misunderstood, and she was polite answering it. But after it went back and forth several times, there were bigger misunderstandings. So if you want to come up and talk about your comments, your Facebook details, come on up. So that's this one, right? Sorry. Okay, if you could show us what it is that you wanted to do, that would help. This is not the one you want to do. You'll do too, okay. Start by taking the volume off. Good. Since we have 8 minutes to go through this video, I'm trying to help get more get them by trying. I could.
기타 학원을 운영하는 혜란 사장님은 편하게 집에서 기타를
Okay. Yes, please. How does that relate to our global citizenship class? Okay. And how does that relate to class? Can you comment about how it relates to class? If you share a funny video related to being global. So this is talking about the food from another culture. Fondue is not a typical Korean food. So somebody's trying different foods. Yes, there could be misunderstandings about how to do it. Okay, good. That's a good start. Any other comments that you wanted to make about this? No, that's it. Okay, it's a good start. Thank you for starting to share stuff. The more we share, the better it will get. Any other people want to share your information now before we go on? Did you guys want to come up here or you want to just present from back there? We need to talk in class. Yes, that's what I just said. Do you want to? We need to make sure it's related to class. So, okay, can you explain it a little bit more so we don't have that interview and name issue? Please explain what you're trying to do. Okay, so the weekly presentation is about international language and cultural misunderstandings. What is the weekly presentation about? Okay, sure. Thank you. So did you get, again, when you're doing this, make sure your marks are recorded so that there's no miscommunication. That first video that we were just talking about, that was presented through, you were the group 1, the middle student, right? Junha, is that, what was your name?
Maybe group 7.
Group 7? The bottom student?
Yes, I got his name.
Great. And you ladies, which ones are you guys? This one? Get in. So, get in this thing. Presentation and your name? Okay. Thanks. Is your file in here? Like, yes. File would you like to show? Please make sure all of you understand when you are trying to interact globally, you will have ideas, but there is a good chance your ideas will be misunderstood by other people. So what our class is teaching you is that you must constantly check that the other people understand your message, number 1, and number 2, make sure they understand the intention. Because sometimes, like the first video showed, he was trying to say, you're gay. And so she understood that, she heard that. But the meaning, the intention was not understood. So you need to do 2 things. Make sure they understand you. She understood your gay, but she didn't understand the intention. You guys, while you're presenting, you need to try to check both of those things. Other people understand each main thing you're trying to say and your intention. Why? Why do we have to do the second thing? That's related to what we were teaching from the very first week, SRC. We are taught this is good, this is bad, but we don't understand why other people do things differently. You must try to check the understanding of the other people. Go ahead, folks. Four. A spoon, if there's going to be soup with it.
Depending on its culture, if you have like only one way, that means you have culture, yes. And here's an example of gesture that have different meaning depending on each country. That's what you said.
Thank you for checking. Good, awesome. Did anybody answer?
We can't manage work like this. That's why I use Monday.com. Might you use
It's well known that some gestures mean different things in different parts of the world. In some places, such as Britain, this means everything's okay. while in Brazil and other places it's considered obscene. And in still other places, such as Japan, it means money. In Italy, they might make this sign to emphasize a point, while in Jordan, it can mean wait a second. Certain things often have gestures for them. For instance, in most places where drinking alcohol is popular, there's a sign for drinking or getting drunk. In the US, it's this. While in France, they grab and twist their nose, and in Russia, they flick their throat. On the other hand, some places have more or less unique gestures. In Russia, to say you're making things too complicated, you scratch your ear by going around the back of your head. Among the most common and probably oldest gestures are nodding for yes and shaking the head for no. But even this isn't universal. Bulgarians are famous for shaking their head to mean yes and nodding with a click of the tongue to mean no. And in South Asia, they have a third option, which involves tilting the head from side to side. It's used to acknowledge the person speaking to you, although in some contexts it can also mean approval or even uncertainty.
Anybody still online? Let me see if I can get the class. I know you guys don't like the class, but don't kill me online.
Sorry.
Go back. I think it still should be okay here. Good, you're still here. Did you guys want to present anything else? I think you said you have something else to do, or if you want to comment about it, maybe check their understanding. Okay. Yes. That's okay. How about while I get this started, you guys be the teacher and check they understand.
This example also shows the fact that we have culture bias. Do you know what is culture bias?
Culture bias.
Bias.
Yes.
And
BS means bullshit. Maybe you think other cultures are bullshit, but I don't think that's what we're teaching. Good. We're trying to respect them. Yes. Getting them to talk, pretty hard talkers. To make sure they understand. Check they understand that last video. What are some examples?
comments from that video.
Good. It's not just me. Other people can't get to talk either. It might take a little while to get this going. How would you explain? Test them on those things. If they can comment on some of those, maybe they can get marks too.
Culture bias is includes the linguistic interpretation and ethical concept of right and wrong. Also, understanding of facts or evidence-based proof and international or uninternational ethic or race-based bias. The regional or understanding and sexual attraction and mental is also culture bias.
Make sure they understand, talk to them, not just me. I understand, but let's get them to comment. How about the lady that's smiling right in the middle? Maybe she's smiling at part of your thing, not at some other video. See if she understands.
Comment from the video. Comment from the video. I know the law. The test that means the some of the country is no. Only one country.
Actually, be careful, you guys, did you see what you just did?
Yeah,
What-
I just, like, yeah.
Can you explain what that means? What she
It makes
just
me,
did.
it makes me feel like,
And
in other countries, when people go.
she just gave you the middle finger.
No.
Yes, she did. In other cultures, she gave you the middle
Maybe
finger.
another culture, it's Korean.
Oh, we're studying that. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going. I think everything's back up. You guys need any other help? You want me to open your file? Don't sign up.
This is what I told you before. Yeah, now we know that what culture finance is, as you say. So let's know that yes, it's still overcome. First, there is
Saying your information is still bullshit. She just said it. Why are you laughing? What, do you understand the joke again? What was the, oh, sorry. I was just pointing at you, and in some cultures, pointing at you is rude. But I didn't go like this. This is very rude. I went something like this, which is a little bit more acceptable. So sorry for kind of pointing towards it. Could you explain a little bit more about why she is insulting you, saying your information is bullshit?
Because, like, as the video said before, some distance mean different things to me like other countries. So what we know is might be different from other countries.
Yes, and so there's two things I want to help you guys with. Number one, you keep saying BS. Bias is the word. Great. I want you guys to also help me. We have just learned a lot of different hand gestures. What is good, what is not good. Does anybody, I don't know, want an extra 2 points? Find what is a universal hand or body gesture to show good job. That is a middle finger in some countries, right? You just finished, did you explain that in your video too?
I
No?
think.
Go ahead, keep talking. Go ahead, keep talking. What else would you like to say?
First there is the confirmation bias, which finding evidence to support our existing theory. And second, association bias, which associates things to your own culture and style. And third, Vancouver, which thinks you know more than you do. And finally, cognitive examples, which will involve contradict our existing beliefs. Let's find out the way to overcome cultural barriers and address cultural difference. First, ensure clear and polite communication. And second, learn about different cultures. Third, work toward accommodating cultural difference. Fourth, share knowledge. Finally, employ diversity training. This method always supports you to understand other cultures and will have not made the misunderstanding or communication. Thank you for listening to our presentation. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.
I would like to not just give a question, but make a comment. This is an English group being taught in Korea, and research, not just my opinion, has shown in gatherings in English in Korea, the activity from Koreans is very, very low, if not zero, because there's very high uncertainty avoidance. So when you make that comment, any comments? Usually in an English group, there's almost no answer. So what is the solution? We've talked about that before. When you are working, trying to get full points, so far you talked, I'm not sure other people really understand. If you can show me they understand, you get higher marks. For example, what were those 3 BS's? Great, what were they? Do they understand them and know what they were? That is ethnocentric. You are assuming you know what they're thinking. Okay, how about we'll talk with you. Can you summarize those 3 BS's or biases? Yes. They actually listed exact reasons why there are problems. For example, Dunning-Kruger is 1. What were the other 2? See? Some people need extra clarification. You understand what you're presenting. And I'm sure you understand it very well, even though you've said it, you've pronounced it a little bit interestingly. 1 is Dunning-Kruger. What was another one? Cognitive dissonance. Good. And the other one? Good. Oh, affiliation bias, not application bias, but good. So affiliation bias, cognitive dissonance, and Dunning-Kruger. Anybody here know what those mean? Please help make sure they understand what they mean. Let's go through maybe an example to make sure that it's kind of clear. Can I help you?
Yes.
Good, thank you. I so much like this more than with me standing here talking to myself and you guys ignoring. So when you are trying to be a global citizen, there are at least 3 rules that show you're going to have headaches because people are programmed to misunderstand you. In addition to being ethnocentric, most people are ethnocentric, which means they know their way well, and they know there's another way, but they don't understand it. So if they see something different, they just say it's strange or bad. That is common. But another problem is these different things. Almost everyone has these problems, unless you're a specialist. So let's go through as a group. Could I get you at the back, in the middle? Can you pick anyone and try to explain it to the class? I'm asking you to teach the class or read one of these. Just read it and try to guess what it means. If you make a mistake, that's okay, that's good. Make a joke out of it. Say you think it's related to hippopotamuses and elephants having babies. I don't know. But comment in order to help other people understand the meaning. Because when 1 person or 2 people talk, there is a high chance other people don't understand, especially internationally, trying to be a global citizen. This is why. So pick one and just read it and try to explain it. Okay, so what we are identifying is confirmation bias. It says finding evidence to support us, our belief. And the people here still don't really understand what it means. What's an example? Can anybody help? Great.
Something like the Earth is round and finding evidence by satellites. I think that could be confirmation bias.
So, yes. When you believe something, usually you will accept anybody that says things that help you. Like you think the world is round, and then you see a satellite showing the world is round, you accept it. But this is confirming your understanding. You're BS related to it. You're biased and accept that. Other people, if they think the world is flat, you've heard of the Flat Earth Society. Some people are flat earthers. Those people think it's a conspiracy. So they only accept things like, look, the horizon, it's all flat. The world is flat. This other stuff is a joke. It's a lie. They're trying to trick you. So people will confer, they will accept things that confirm your idea. Affiliation bias. Can you try to help explain what that means? You can start with anything. Making a mistake is good. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question after I try to help explain what she just said. So she's talking about affiliation bias. So anybody that's affiliated with you, which means anybody connected to you, you accept more. And other people, usually you think are wrong, something like that. So associating things linked to your culture as better. For example, let's say I am a soccer player. And so I will say soccer players are the most fit people in the world. It's the best sport in the world. Take a look. Those football players in North America, they're 200 kilograms. They're big and they're fat people. They're not as fit as soccer players. Some other people that would be saying, if you like soccer, do you like soccer? Do you think soccer players are fit? Healthy? Don't forget, this means certain things in other countries. Right. So the idea of getting other people, if they have any other preference or they're in another group, they don't have the same level of acceptance. So you accept people in the same group, you don't accept people in other groups. Okay? What's another one? I'm going to just go through and make sure these are finally understood. The Dunning-Kruger is the whole idea of you think you know things very well. And anybody else that bothers you, you usually think that person is strange. Or anybody that is saying you're not right or there's a problem, you think is kind of bad. I may be a volunteer. When I'm saying things and you guys think it's not good or it's boring or not cool, that's related to the Dunning-Kruger. You are associating that your way of doing things is the best and the other way is not good. So when we're teaching Korean, you know ways very well. But when we're talking about the international way, who here has been to or lived abroad the most? Either one. How many countries have you been to? Okay, so you're not going to challenge me too much, okay? What about yourself? Have you been to many other countries? Could you try to explain a little bit more about it? Can you provide more detail? How many countries you've worked with or visited? You lived in the States for a couple of years. So you've been to one other culture for a couple of years, probably 2 years in the States. Great. Yourself? Sure. How much you know about other globalization activities? Yes. Okay, that's very kind and humble. That's a very Asian thing to say. You're being very modest. I can actually prove that to you in a very funny video if you'd like. There is a video that I have shared the link before, but I don't think the class has seen it. It's showing in a huge group, not just our class, but in a group in, I think it's Berkeley. There's like 500 students, and they're all talking about this same thing: global citizenship, intercultural management, intercultural attitudes. And they bring two people down, one person from Asia and another person from North America. The North American person says they're very good. They have very good marks. The family's very, very proud of them. But when we check details, the marks are only about 70%. Versus the person from Asia, when they go down, they say their marks are just so-so, and their families, accepting of them, but their family's not bragging about them. However, that Korean student basically has gone through 4 years of undergraduate school in 2 years, and they have like a 93% average, which is like 10 times better than the North American that says they're great, they're amazing. So that whole idea is similar to what we just heard here. So try to understand examples. It will help you understand more. That Dunning-Kruger. Do you think anything else needs to be explained? I'm going to quiz you guys about their level of understanding of these things again. Do you need any help to go through one of these things again? I'm just going to stop talking because when you guys talk, they get high energy. When I talk, the energy disappears. Are you comfortable that everybody understands these? Okay, your turn to test somebody then. Go for it. Find somebody in class, pick one of those, and make sure they understand the details.
Question.
Sure.
On the 7th slide, it says you have to ensure clear and polite communication. You said that some gestures are mean different things and like
That was my class. That was my question to the class. Yes, I was saying, I'll give you guys 2 points if you can find any gesture that is good universally. I don't know. This in Canada means good. This in Canada means good luck. I'm wishing good things for you. And the idea of this also in Canada means good or okay. But each one of those things means the middle finger in some other culture. This is bad in other countries. So this is bad, for example, in other countries. How could this be bad? This is pretty easy to understand. This basically is a sign of this, meaning no. So I don't know what is a universal good gesture for being good. But your question related to those 3 or 4 biases, every one of us generally is programmed to have a problem being a global citizen. What are those? Your turn. Try to pick somebody and we can talk about it. You don't need to whisper. You're managing the class.
Yeah, any question about the cultural bias?
Great. Can you explain those 4 different points that they had? So you don't understand what they just said. Great. Please try to explain.
think it's right.
Okay, can you explain one of them in a little bit more detail? Give an example of it. Great, thank you for reading this stuff. Please make sure people understand.
For example, like complete bias, like there's Korean comment and Chinese comment.
Okay, so your comments that you just used is related to this. You just said Korean anything is better. And so people in China will say the exact same thing in opposite, that the Chinese thing is better. Those are some examples. Great. Almost the same in many countries around the world. Thank you very much. Please go ahead and continue. Did you have another thing? I thought you wanted to present your survey details.
Reading about information related to social media, advertising, and internet marketing. This is our that's opinion. If we don't know about our survey type and this is our survey question. First, in what form do companies use social media to promote brand? Second, what are the characteristics of each social media used in advertising? How is the algorithm used in advertisement? How will company affect consumer-driven advertising? How do companies use social media channel for marketing? Based on this question, we conducted a case study from the article. This is our survey users. First, conclude that companies are currently using for advertisement as the most effective marketing channel for sales or consumer info. And social media channels are being used to raise brand awareness. Second, it is important to upgrade the keyword composition because culture search advertising can easily attract customers through the banner advertisement or search engine and directly attract customers through the application site or price contacting with information. And it will have to, it is important to run responsible, transparent, and alternative cases. It is important to properly harmonize the flows with the companies or individual operations. And based on this, upgrading reports, competency and offer combining and personal option. Fourth question, consider how areas in the nature of option availability of the image and the information. Last question. Manager who vaccinated with the population to manage their image and the social media is to support successful brands. And in this information planning the concept feedback, and the marketing team should operations spreadsheet and result affection in a real time. And it's going to translate more dynamic marketing activities which are flexible, allocating resources over time. Sound like this?
About how you could improve.
And comments how we can improve. Yes.
You can improve by speaking a bit louder. It's kind of difficult to understand what you're saying.
We'll try our best in our next one. Thank you.
So can I have a question for you? So how did you conduct the survey to get the result? How did you conduct the survey?
Okay, good. Very interesting question and a very interesting answer. But I see a complete different cultural difference. Her question was not about paper or online. Her question was about methodology. Is your way of doing things done so that the world should accept it? Do you know what the world usually accepts related surveys? For example, your questions, it looks like you asked one company and you got one answer. Is that accepted internationally? Any idea? It can be, yes. So ask more about it. For example, how can we present this? If you present that in your final paper, you're going to have a problem if you just do it like that. You need to find out what is the proper way to use this to grow. Anybody understand that? All of you have probably studied lots of statistics. So usually, what is the statistical number of surveys needed to be considered reliable?
30.
Great. Unless what? That is not saying 30 people. It's saying 30 things. Right? So what could you do? You could say, yes, you interviewed one company. What's that called? When you interview one company, you research one company, you study one company in an article in class. What's that called? Case study, right? If your qualitative research methodology with case study of this company, that's okay. But you can't just say, we asked a question and this is one answer. So if you write that, you'll get better results. Hopefully everybody understands. Yes.
And can you present next today?
I think there's other people that already asked to present. Were you part of it?
Last session. Last session.
Okay, did you not say that you wanted to present? Are you guys all part of the same group? I understood that you wanted to present today and you wanted to present today. Is that what you were talking about?
Yep.
Okay, sure, go ahead. Thanks, guys. The internet access with higher connectivity is in the Facebook answer that you shared. I hope that helped you, what I just told you.
Okay, so we're going to present about police brutality in the United States. Moreover, we're going to release to Korea. So this is so cops kill the innocents. George Floyd.
Before can you introduce the concept and how it relates? Try to get them away from their biases so they understand what you're talking about. I know you're not trying to say police are bad. So give them a frame of mind. What is your presentation really about? How does it relate to class?
So like both brutality is like I guess it's a little like you're thinking that police brutality happens only in the street and like there are other cases from the USA, but also we can find out that it is also happening in Korea and other countries. So we wanted to like share some information and we wanted to like think about the solutions, how we could get right. And coffee of innocence, George Floyd. An innocent black man was orally suppressed by a group of police and resulted in death. George Floyd allegedly tried to use a counterfeit $20 bill. Floyd was handcuffed on the ground as Officer Derek Sherman knelt on his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. As Floyd pleaded with the 4 officers present and repeatedly told them that he could not breathe. Sherman kept his knee on Floyd's neck even when he became unresponsive. We surveyed 25 people and every single one of them answered that they knew about police over-suppression. We also asked what oppression can be judged as over-suppression, and 32% answered excessive injury to the victim, 24% answered excessive oppression, 15% each answered using guns and immigrant, and 12 answered victim's death, etc.
Can you guys try to follow the suggestions I gave the first 2 teams about how to present well with the communication message? Remember, I was saying, make sure you understand 2 things when you communicate internationally.
I know this could be biased.
I'm not talking about bias. I'm talking about how.
That I don't think it could be biased, but I think these comments about
When we started class, you weren't here yet, and I asked if anybody was aware of Black Lives Matter, and nobody said that they were aware of it. So it helps. Probably they do understand it, but it helps to clarify. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is how you're communicating now. Remember when I was talking to you guys, what was those 2 things I was telling you guys when you're communicating? Remember this and remember this. How do you need to communicate a message well? Remember, you had to answer it for them. You were here. Can you repeat that for everybody? Make sure that the class understands again.
I know I heard it. I thought
There's cognitive dissonance. Anything related to me, he forgets. The idea that you have a message, you're giving a message. This is, I believe, part of your main project you're trying to present, right? How many marks are you trying to do? I don't think you're doing this to just volunteer, right? How many marks would you guys like for this? Any more than 1? In that case, make sure they understand. Do not stand and just say things and assume they understand. So when you have a point, the first thing you need to do is what? Check they understand, right?
they understand what is going on. Okay.
doing that misses the lesson I gave.
Are you guys aware of George Floyd, who is an innocent black man? How about Leo? Are you aware of this?
Okay, so even if it's new, that's okay. That's not my point. Teaching something new is okay. What I'm trying to teach is any message you have, give it, that's fine. You did that. You did a good job. But you need to check what you're saying, yes. But that still opens them up. How we started class is we had a video about one person talking to another person. This person gave a message. It was clear. This person heard a message. It was clear. But the intention was not understood. So what I'm asking you guys is check how can they comment to improve your intention was clear. So for example, that last slide, it was good. How could they make it better? How could they talk about a solution to it? Something like that. Don't just say it and assume they understand. Check your intention was properly understood by them, not your message.
June 1, if you were police, would you kneel on someone's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds for not even being sure if they need to have it money?
Okay, so before tonight, I think I would mention something. Okay, so the thing is that there's an elementary school. Children, they know what the word is, and we were just talking about the static numbers. And I'm wondering that should I check?
Okay, let's go back to that last slide that you think is okay. So you're saying it's okay. Would you get perfect marks for this in a research project? Or if you showed your reference here, would that give you more marks? Okay, we're talking about those 4. You think it's okay. There's 4 reasons why you think it's okay. I'm just showing you there's one. If you change something, it would give you higher marks, right? Have some reference here to get higher marks. It's not the last day. You can add that next time. Presenting now is not the last. What I'm telling you is show you have something and ask, how can you make it better so you get perfect marks? You get both marks today and higher marks later. There's 2 things. You have a message. You gave a message. You think your message is perfect. Almost everybody thinks that because we're ethnocentric. We believe one thing. Our way is good. We must check the intention is properly understood. And because we think differently than other people, we must check what would the other people suggest so it's perfect in their mind. The intention is proper. Like the very first video, one guy said, "Hi, my name's, you're gay." And the other person thought you're a sexual gay person. They said things and the message, it was understood, but with a different intention. So just check, how can we improve this? Next slide, how can we improve this? Next, what do you suggest about changing this? Okay.
Our first question was, do you think there is a reason for overconfession? And everyone has answered yes, there is a reason for overconfession. One question was that if they choose yes, what would the reason be for the overconfession? 44% answered racial discrimination, 24% answered religious reason, 16% answered personal feelings, and 12% answered excessive use for public power, and last 4% answered self-punishment. 72 stated that overconfession often occurs in our society, and 28% is a rate. Everyone stated that there is a difference in the filtration process of the US policies and Korean policies. Out of 25 people, 72% stated that using a gun is the condition which makes the difference between the two countries. 28% stated that the autonomous race makes the difference. I have your opinion of it.
For the classes, fine.
Kim, do you have any idea of my PPT on the slide right now? So 72% stated that using a gun is the condition which makes the difference between two countries, the US and Korea. And 28% stated that the autonomous police makes a difference. So which one do you think makes a difference? Using a gun or autonomous police? Do you think it's the autonomous police that makes the difference?
So right now, you're still trying to prove your lesson, which is nice. Go ahead and continue to try to do that. But to do better in the global culture class, try to focus on the message. Not what you're teaching, but how you're teaching. So how could you change any of this so it's better understood? I would ask two people to say, what's one thing we can change to get more marks in the last class? And then ask another person in the class, right?
So, what opinions are needed to resolve this situation? And we came up with excessive suppression is sometimes necessary, but there is also a need to refrain from using it. There is a need for excessive suppression, but regulations are also needed. And it should be utilized through adequate training. There's a need to review the regulations and create any unnecessary or incorrect ones and narrow the differences between the victims and the oppressors. So these are the opinions the survey result gave us.
Thanks. You're still teaching your presentation. Where class is finished, everybody can go. What I had said to you guys, same as what I said to you guys. Thank you for sharing. You're definitely getting marks for sharing things today. The more you share, the more points you get. You can leave. But you remember, you guys are up here, you got several headaches from me. Not trying to give you headaches. I'm trying to help you do better as communicating with other cultures. So stop thinking about what you study. Stop thinking about what you want to teach people. Now, only try to find what they think you could do better. That's it. Okay? But the class is finished. So next time we can talk about that type of stuff. Understand? It's not just what you understand, it's how you interact with it. Thank you very much for presenting, guys.
So hi everyone. Can I have one question for all students before they leave? So hi everyone. So when you discuss in the classroom, so I might not clear you very well. So could you go into the Facebook and sign up for the participant